With a string of failed films since leaving Marvel Studios with Avengers Endgame, the Russo Brothers are back with Marvel Studios to direct 2 upcoming Avengers films and produce a bunch more. Well, now the Russo Brothers tell us exactly how they are going to save Marvel Studios. Now, you might not like it, but it's a fact that Marvel Studios released banger after banger, a 9 out of 10, all the way up until Avengers Endgame. Every film was received well, every character beloved. After Endgame, there hasn't been a single good film or a new character or concept introduced. That's just a fact. I checked the internet, I'm telling you the facts. So, it is what it is. But the Russo brothers are going to fix this. They are going to fix the MCU. After all, when they were announced to be directing Captain America: The Winter Soldier, the internet flipped out in absolute cheer and love. They were the perfect directors. Going from directing comedies to a Captain America film, everybody knew it was going to be a banger. There was absolutely no hatred. They were just beloved the entire time. So just like when their return to the MCU was announced, everybody agreed this is the best thing that's ever going to happen with Marvel Studios. So in a recent interview with the Sunday Times, the Russo brothers were asked about returning to the MCU, what's drawing them back, and also how do they aim to fix up the MCU, and what happened with the whole Kang thing and Jonathan Majors. And well, they had some interesting answers, I will say that. For the people that didn't understand the sarcasm earlier, that was all sarcasm about loving every project. You don't need to write out a book down below about how it's actually not that. I know it was sarcasm. You could hear it in my voice. So the Russo brothers said, first and foremost, the number one way that they're going to tackle this is by downsizing. They said that in the time that they left the MCU to now, the MCU has grown exponentially. It's expanded. It's so large now that it changes everything. And they said that this wasn't a thing when they were directing these films. Now, obviously, what they're talking about is the fact that nothing Marvel TV was canon or even allowed to be used when they were making those films. Because Marvel Entertainment was the TV production side, and they were locking these characters away and not allowing them. So Daredevil, Cloak and Dagger, Runaways appearing in any project were literally barred. They weren't allowed. They said that their goal is to look at the bigger picture and really streamline everything. It's too large right now. So they got to figure out exactly who is central to the narrative and focus on them instead of just throwing everybody into everything. And that they believe that will help maintain coherence and make it make sense and help them out in the long run. Now, truth be told, this makes sense. There was people saying, I didn't like Infinity War or Endgame because Ghost Rider didn't show up. Okay, why would Ghost Rider show up? Like what? Oh, I didn't like it because Daredevil and Punisher and Jessica Jones didn't show up. Okay, 1, why would they show up? 2, they weren't even allowed to show up. So, okay. But that's the key to what they're saying here. Because both of them said, and I quote, that was something we were specifically adamant about when working with Marvel before. And we would like to bring it into the focus of the narrative again. So again, that quote was in relation to downsizing and figuring out just who you need and when. And this, again, really does make sense. So let's hope that they figure this out. Let's hope that they know how to streamline it perfectly because, this is it. It's make it or break it with Doomsday and then Secret Wars. But I also got a bit more that I can talk about in here that's important to this. So when asked about why they specifically returned and what they're aiming to do, Anthony Russo said, and I quote, "We love the genre. Some people wrote it off as less comprehensive forms of storytelling. That's more for children. But we think it's as relevant for adults as it is for them if you treat it with maturity and complexity. That's really all of it. A commitment to the storytelling." And then when again asked about the expanding MCU, here's what he added, and I quote, "Yes, the MCU has gotten quite large, that's for sure. I mean, frankly, we struggled with the same issue. But part of the reason Joe and I decided to go back is exactly what you're talking about. There needs to be a controlled narrative. So again, I'm reading from one interview in 3 different instances and quotes where they talk about focus. I think, and if you guys watch my other video where they were talking about making this universe sort of like a fresh start to a new tale, that what they're saying is what I was saying in that. You're going to get a large chunk of this film establishing Doctor Doom, his motives, his world, who he is, why he's the way he is, so we care about him. And then we're going to see his downfall and the villain angle. And from his point of view and what we're going to see, we're going to have reasoning for what he's doing. But again, as they say, it's bringing that into focus that is the key. And I think once people understand what they're saying here and read exactly what they're saying, you realize that not every character can fit into this film. And their aim to fix the MCU is to rein it back. So expect maybe a Daredevil to show up, if you're lucky. But don't expect Foggy Nelson, or Karen Page, or Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and all these characters from the other TV stuff. Because again, how do you bring something into focus if you got to catch up everybody with what's going on? And remember, I've been talking about this for years, having seen the numbers that you guys could have found out for yourself, but people kept saying I was lying. Daredevil, when it was the most watched show on Netflix, was viewed by a fraction of the people, by less than 10% of the people that saw the lowest earning Avengers film, aka Age of Ultron. Only 10% of the people that watched Age of Ultron even watched Daredevil. Now on Disney Plus, Daredevil is even less popular than he was at his lowest over on Netflix. You can't expect everybody to know who he is. So they do have to look at that and truly pull it back and go, the way to fix it is to use things that people know and bring in a couple other elements, but make sure it's reined in and pulled in to not beat people over the head with things they don't know. Because that's what happened with multiple MCU projects since Endgame, and people lost interest. The Eternals being a prime example. So they're taking all this into the account to fix the MCU going forward. Thank you for checking out that video, and thank you for your continued support. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, do whatever you will, and if you're so inclined and would like some additional content from us, which includes unfiltered content and bonus discussions, we do offer exclusively in our members section. We hope to see you there. So thank you for watching, and have a good one.